Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Force Strategy Gaming and some more StarCraft 2 commentary. Today we will be looking at a series between Imba's Strelok and Complexity's Dongre-gu, or DRG, as abbreviated, and might possibly be a heck of a lot easier for me to say in the heat of the action. We'll have to see, though. We can see in the bottom left-hand position, we have got Strelok as our red Terran player here on Shakur's Plateau. And then down over here in the bottom right-hand position, of course, is Complexity's MVP, DRG, Dongre-gu, as our blue Zerg player. Immediately sending his first Overlord to the far left-hand position, at which point he will be able to scout out Strelok with. And if we do see any drone scouts, I expect him to initially move to that upper left-hand position up until the point he realizes where Strelok is, and then he'll probably reroute his drone to get some full scouting of Strelok's base. We can see, of course, the wall off for Strelok coming off at front of the main base here. He will be, of course, getting that wall up as is necessary to deal with any sort of mid to early game Zerglings. Even, of course, late game Zerglings, you don't ever at any point in the game want them in your base. And it does appear like Dongre-gu moving out there with the drone will actually be getting a expansion at either 14 or 15 supply. It looks like he'll be saving up at 14. First, actually scouting the edges there. He wants to see if there's any sort of proxy harass or any sort of shenanigans going on at all from his opponent Imba Strelok. And actually, never mind, that will be a scouting drone after checking the corner of that natural expansion, and then this drone will be dropping a hatchery at 15 supply. So 15 hatch from Dongre-gu, and then immediately moving out to that lower left-hand position as he has spotted out Strelok here. You just realize, okay, he's down over here in the lower left-hand spot. I'm assuming that an SCV was able to scout out that Overlord, and that resulted, of course, in Dongre-gu knowing immediately where Strelok was. Right there, a little bit of harass going on from the drone against that SCV. SCV now finishing that Rax will be pulling back, and look at this, opening up immediately with a tech lab. Very interesting indeed. We are going to expect a Reaper opening. It could be a Reaper into expand. That is certainly a popular tactic and a pretty strong build as well. And actually, there you go. You can see right now pulling guys, all of them, off of that refinery. That is implying that that expansion is coming up next. So once Strelok hits those 400 extra resources, he will be expanding. And there is that first Reaper. It will be providing early game harass and scouting information, two very crucial things. You can see the SCV scout now moving out for Strelok. He is spotting that pool, just about finished. He just wants to kind of dance around, check the second extractor, and just wants to make sure everything is looking pretty normal. And as we can see here from Dongre-gu, everything is looking pretty normal. Coming out that first queen, second queen as well at that natural expansion. Might be seeing a spine. Could very possibly be seeing a spine crawler, but not at the moment. Just trying to prevent any possible harass. Now, he does know that Tech Lab is on the rack, so he could also be concerned about some sort of bunker harass with that Reaper. So that is why he was keeping those drones up at the front of his natural expansion just to check and make sure that that SCV wasn't doing anything too fancy. Now, we do have that Reaper moving out and actually checking the towers. Wanted to see if he could catch any drones or Zerglings in the center of the map. Unfortunately, though, for that Reaper, there is none of that there, and it looks like the SCV scout making its way back on into Dongre-gu's base. Now, this is not to drop that bunker, but instead to get that scouting information. He's checking for a Baneling, that's checking for a Roach Warren, and actually the SCV now tucked away in the corner, but still doesn't look like we're going to be seeing much of anything from him anytime soon. Strelok over here with that Reaper, and Dongre-gu not coming out with any Zerglings yet, just now coming out with 2 Zerglings. You can see how very delayed he was on that. But that was simply because he was instead droning up. He felt pretty comfortable with just those queens at defending against that SCV and Reaper harass. And again, you can see Strelok still out there with the Reaper, actually just waiting to see if he can catch any Zerglings that may attempt to leave the base. But here we go, those first 2 Zerglings now cornering the SCV, taking them out nice and easily. And then they should be attempting to move out for some scouting information. But just like we see that, look at that, denying the creep tumor spread as well. Just like we see Hellions to deny scouting, that Reaper was kind of doing the same thing. But actually pulling back right now, allowing those 2 Zerglings to vacate the base. And where's this Reaper going to be going? Will he be heading to the back? Yes, he will. He will, at some point in the near future, be heading to the back of Dongre-gu's base. He's probably not going to move in just as of yet. This will be his form of secondary scouting. Back over here, we can see the expansion now almost finished there for Dongre-gu. And actually, that's a second. I was going to say that seems a little bit late. That's because his first expansion is just finished now, and he's working his way up into the second expansion. That is nuts. We can see there Dongre-gu scouted out that one in the left-hand corner. Fortunately, those Zerglings will not be escaping the bases. We do have that bunker over there, but look at this crazy quick third here from Strelok. Really unbelievable. And, you know, if DRG is able to scout that out, then he could try to punish Strelok for attempting to go for that quick third. But at the moment, it does not look like DRG is aware of that. But look at this. We're seeing a very strong push right now. Roach Warren is up. We have got a total of 7 roaches in play, and then mass speedlings coming up immediately after that. And this could prove to be quite a problem for Strelok. He does not have a lot of early game units, given the fact that he has gone for that quick third expansion. Again, that third has not been scouted out, but this push here from DRG is going to be incredibly difficult for Strelok to defend against. We can see he's trying to formulate that wall right now. He's almost got siege tech, and once that finishes, there's going to be a lot of problems here for DRG. He needs to push right now, and here it comes. Speedlings moving up, as well as those roaches. We've got that tank on the high ground, and all those marines at the low ground, plus that bunker taken out. It's going to force a liftoff of the orbital command. That tank got caught completely out of position, and that is terrible. The second tank sieging up. We're going to be seeing mass repairs right now. This is exactly what Strelok needs. If he does not keep this wall intact, then he's going to be in trouble trying to repair that siege tank as well. We are seeing DRG attempt to target fire down, but unfortunately, the siege tank is still up now, so DRG is probably going to have to curb back on this aggression because it doesn't look like he's going to break Strelok. Strelok with some mass repair action there on his wall, and that tank was just barely able to defend it. And what is this tank doing? Strelok, please get that tank inside of your base. Oh my gosh. That was terrible. That was completely terrible. We actually have 1 kill over here from this Reaper. I'm not entirely sure what that is. He may have made his way back into the main base at some point, but that was just unbelievable. And I do not know what that tank was thinking. Actually, DRG sitting pretty idly over here. Is there some crazy action going on elsewhere that I'm not seeing? Because it seems like both these players right now are kind of doing a whole lot of nothing. There we go. We finally are seeing Strelok attempt to move down into that expo, but again, still a bunch of roaches and speedlings over here for DRG. I'm not entirely sure what he's doing with them. Just standing idly for the moment. And now walking into siege fire, DRG, unfortunately, making some fairly big mistakes there in terms of micro. He definitely unnecessarily just lost a lot of units and didn't end up doing much damage at all as a result. So that was quite unfortunate indeed. Now we still have this third expansion now. This will allow Strelok to quickly resaturate this natural and get back on the income train there. We do have DRG moving on into his third expansion. Also a couple of spine crawlers a little bit worried about the counterattack that may be coming from Strelok. DRG working his way to spread that creep across the map. Still do have this Reaper over here. Now, I am expecting the transition to be into Marine Tank, and it does look like that is what Strelok is doing. We'll be going Marine Tank, and there's that starport just about finished. I'll be pumping out those double medevacs. May, in fact, actually just even start with a single Viking. Try to do some Overlord hunting. A couple of Speedlings over here for DRG, and they will be checking out that third expansion. He just wants to see if Strelok is trying anything funny. We do know that he is prepared to drop that third expansion. I do expect him to actually drop it right here outside of that main base. It's a little bit of a difficult position to defend, as you kind of have to pull your units from your natural just to be able to defend this third, but it is the same case over here and a little bit too far spread, especially once it comes to dealing with Muta harass. And as we can see, just as I mentioned that, Muta's popping over here for DRG, so he has made that transition. The third expansion is now up. We'll be working to get that saturated shortly. A couple Speedlings still sitting idly over here. Reaper meets his demise to the Mutalist, and now the Mutas will be going straight towards Strelok's base. And what does he have for preparation? He has got a couple of missile turrets in production right now. Those just about to finish. We can also see now DRG finally scouting out Strelok's third expansion. Still, though, Strelok has yet to move out to actually place that down and start to get any sort of saturation down at any place at all. And it looks like he might be preparing that, or just a push. Looks like Marine tanks will be mobilizing out. We've got combat shield plus a level 1 upgrade, so we may very well be seeing a timing push here from Strelok. However, right as he leaves his base, the Muta's going straight into his main. A few stim Marines trying to engage. Now with these small amount of Mutas, even small Marine numbers can be pretty effective. Those missile turrets especially prove to be incredibly effective against small amounts of Mutalists. Here comes that timing push now. Moving across the middle, you can see again that combat shield and the level 1 upgrade just now finishing. Mutas, of course, will be attempting to pick off any tanks in the back, allowing those Speedlings and Banelings to take out the Marines. However, it doesn't look like at the moment DRG is prepared for this engagement. He's trying to mass up his Speedling numbers so that he can be properly prepared to deal with this push that's coming right now. And actually, a couple of Marines out of position. Oh no, Strelok getting hit with some Banelings there, and actually that alone is going to be enough to push Strelok back. Strelok, after killing off a few creep tumors but losing a ton of Marines, decided to head back and protect this third expansion, and hopefully we actually see at least a couple of missile turrets go up at that third. Decently defended here at that natural expansion, as well as the main with missile turrets. He's got a fair amount. The back of the main here actually looking a little bit vulnerable, just that one turret defending it. So that is definitely a vulnerable position that Dongregu may be able to try to exploit. We do only have a few mutas right now, and actually 2 just about to pop. Let's take a look. He's got a total of 13 right now, and number 14 is in production at the moment. Expansion number 4 over here for Dongregu, that third, nice and saturated right now. We've also got a Spore Crawler over here to try to help deal with any possible drops. And here we go right now as Strelok is trying to defend his main with some more turrets. We are seeing mutas move in and attempt to do some SCV harass. Some Stim Marines though will be able to push that back, but still those SCVs picking off workers left and right here and there. And now moving into that natural expansion. Unfortunately, that turret just barely out of range, and we'll be seeing a little bit of muta harass. However, with those muta numbers still relatively small, it takes him a little while to actually work all the way through that resource line. Losing another muta as it makes its way out to some marine fire plus that missile turret. Let's take a look here at the total workers killed. So far, Dongregu this game killing off 23 SCVs. That is certainly a significant amount. Pretty effective muta harass early on. All right, now it does look like Strelok is preparing to do some dropping. We have got a medevac up here loaded with Marines, and that is going to be stimming up and immediately engaging this worker line. Should be able to kill off a few workers, and finally Strelok able to return some of this income harass here. It's about damn time, in all honesty. Just now moving out with that medevac. Looks like we've got a few more Marines actually moving there, and he will be doing a lot of damage to the hatchery, although he will not kill off the hatchery in this engagement. The hatchery being so weak now is going to make it incredibly susceptible to another drop later on, and it's going to be quite easy for Strelok to snipe this down if he can effectively get another drop down. We also have a drop going off in the main here, and again trying to do some economic damage. Let's take a look here. So far, 2 drops combined, killing off a total of 9 workers, so that is a small amount of damage, but still a little bit nonetheless. Lots of macro coming out over here, of course, from Dongregu. A couple mutas and speedlings as well, and actually Dongregu is preparing to possibly push onto this third expansion. Needs to be very wary about engaging that tank line. He may be just attempting at the moment to hold the middle of the map, and that is certainly a wise decision of him. Try to allow him to spread that creep and allow his mutas to also provide a little bit of harassment. Now, we are seeing a ton of upgrades coming out from Dongregu. We can take a look. He is 1-1 right now. He's got 2-2 coming on through as well. His air units sitting at 1-1, and let's take a look at what Strelok is at. Strelok right now sitting 1-1. He's got the level 2 weapons upgrades coming out. We can see the muta harass right now attempting to do just more and more damage, and again taking advantage of the mobility of those mutas. Clumping up though, and that Thor fire is the last thing you need your mutas to clump up against. Keep them nice and spread. There we go, pulling back and just trying to dance around, and again you can see how effective those mutas can be just due to their sheer speed and the fact that they are air units, just dancing back and forth in between that main base and that natural expansion and harassing here and there, and very effective harass from Dongregu. So far in this game, I'm certainly going to have to give the advantage right now to Dongregu. Now the thing to consider though is that we haven't seen a large engagement yet, although it looks like we may be seeing one very shortly. Now this large engagement is really going to decide how this game turns out. If it takes place like we're expecting it to in just one moment. We got Marines trying to cover those tanks as much as possible. Speedlings and mutas dancing back and forth, and unfortunately those Speedlings running into some heavy tank fire. They were able to force some splash damage against the Marines of Strelok, and Strelok now pushing forward towards Dongregu's side of the map. And again, this engagement is really going to be a decisive point in the game. Looks like Strelok will be first targeting down this expansion over here. I don't see any drops to coincide with this at all. He's just pushing with the bulk of his force, and that is about it. We have got a lot of Speedlings, Baneling, and mutas over here and trying to get ready to push right now. There's a fungal growth on a ton of those Marines, pushing forward as well with a few Speedlings and Banelings. Some stray Banelings rolling on in there. We've got another fungal growth. Oh, never mind. That gets target fire down before it's able to do much damage at all. Still a lot of Speedlings over there, and it looks like the Marines and tanks preparing to push on over into this expansion. No counter aggression going on at all from Dongregu. We've got that tank line setting up. Now we do have a bunch of Speedlings and a few more Banelings over here. Unfortunately, they're getting shelled out by that tank line. Needs to be very careful about his micro and make sure he keeps them just out of the range of those tanks. But it looks like Dongregu will be losing this expansion. Sniped down to some tank fire. Speedlings and Banelings engaging again. We've got the mutas coming in from the other side. Drones will be pushing down to engage. Fungal growth going down on a few of those Marines, now down to just those 2 tanks, a few Marines, and a Thor. However, there's a lot of Marine reinforcements, and the fact that Strelok was able to snipe this expansion was absolutely huge for him, and he has still got a significant force right now. Dongregu is actually looking to be in a very tough spot as Strelok attempts to push on and into this expansion, which would make it the 3rd expansion that Strelok is going to be able to snipe, and it does not look like Dongregu has a response to this at all. Strelok with that very strong push, lots and lots of tanks, lots of Speedlings as well, able to snipe off 3 bases at around the 20-minute mark, and that is going to be a major problem for Dongregu, and the Marines shredding through the rest of those mutas there. And Dongregu just deciding to call the GG. With the exception of a little bit of drop harass, we saw Strelok play fairly passively this game and then push out once he had a large tank and Marine force, as well as a couple of Thors and Medivacs, and with that push able to snipe out 3 expansions, and that was unfortunately just too much for Dongregu to handle. He wasn't able to do enough damage to the bulk of the force, and with some quick Marine reinforcements, Strelok was able to continue up that aggression and again push out to take a 3rd expansion. Alright guys, pretty cool. Game number 1 here between Strelok and Dongregu. Game number 2 coming up in just one moment. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Keep watching and keep owning.